a resident
Oh.
of Okanogan County. Sorry, getting rid of that out of the screen so I can see people. Since early 80s, when my parents moved here when I was about 12 years old. Graduate from Okanogan High School, 1990, then joined the United States Marine Corps, served there for 4 years, earned the rank of corporal, is where I started leading people. Came back home, started working in the jail, and worked in the jail for about 2 years as a corrections deputy, and then got hired out to the patrol, where I did many things in the community for the public safety, to include being the first reconstructionist for collisions in Okanogan County, the first and only DRE and DRE instructor, which is for also public safety for driving. And while working for the sheriff's office, I earned my associate degree, bachelor's degree, and master's degree while working full-time and raising family. My family, I have my wife. We've got a blended family of 3 kids from my side, 2 kids from her side. This year, we're currently hosting an Italian exchange student. So I call her my exchange daughter. So it's a great experience that way too, to bring her to our community. We live on a small ranch outside of Okanogan. Small alfalfa field, a couple animals that we raise to take care of our own needs for our families. So why I've been the sheriff for the last 4 years, and prior to that was a sergeant for the sheriff's office for 8 years, the special response team commander, team leader, an operator, multiple things within the sheriff's office, and want to continue some programs that we're moving forward with, mostly directed at the jail at this point. We've got some other things accomplished and want to continue that going to get the jail up and running better, because it is a 40-year-old facility that does need some upgrades to better serve our community.
Okay, thank you.
Whatever's on that paper, I cannot read that.
Oh,
I'm
sorry, it's just a little thing that tells you your time is up.
Okay, I can see the 30 seconds. The second paper could not even see
Yeah,
what.
that's just you're all done, but that's okay. All right, Chief Budrow, 2 minutes.
Okay, my name, of course, is Paul Budrow. I've been the chief of police here in Twist for the last 12 years. I got into law enforcement back in 1984, so about 38 years of law enforcement experience. I was the chief of police for another 8 years over in a tribe, the Upper Skagit tribe out of Skagit County. I ran around the country for 3 years, evaluate police departments, use of force programs, teaching use of force, SWAT teams, firearms, and testifying on use of force cases, helping them rewrite their policies, etc. Again, I'm running because of the problems that is happening within the sheriff's office at this moment. The sheriff's office is falling down, as in they're losing lots of men and women, and none of it has to do with the poor legislature that got passed, but it has to do with just the poor leadership at this moment. Again, I wouldn't be going to this level if it wasn't something that I wasn't comfortable and ready to do. I've made the decision that I can't sit back and complain about something that I know I can fix, and that's where we're moving forward from there. My experience to do that is, again, having been with the sheriff's office, I started in my law enforcement career being a team leader for a dive team back in 1984, right out of college. I got a degree in biology with a chemistry minor. So really nothing to do with my law enforcement side, just the fact that I went to college and got my degree there. Then moved on. I've done pretty much everything you could possibly do in law enforcement except for undercover work. And the reason I didn't get into undercover work is I was running a drug dog, and I ran a drug dog for many, many years. That was probably the best of all the different things that I did. I was the firearms instructor. I was pretty much use of force instructor for Skagit County for most of my career with them. Upper Skagit tribe, I did a lot of the supervisory stuff, taught at the college levels, teaching at Skagit Valley.
You're at 2 minutes. So.
And there I am.
Okay, thank you. I know it's so hard to just talk about things in a little 2-minute segment, but we really want to get to as many questions as we can. So
I appreciate, just so you know, we
yeah.
don't see the number. I didn't see anything. It's set to-
Yeah, I know,
Okay.
it's super hard. Betsy, I don't know if you can just do it on a white sheet of paper. That might be easier. Okay, so Charlene Burns, you wanted to go first with your question. You may have to unmute yourself.
As you both know, and everyone here knows, that there's a huge opiate dependency problem in this county. And there are organizations that are trying to deal with that. And I would like to know if you have a plan and what you've done in the past to help with this problem and what you see is in the future.
Okay, let's, I forgot to say, we're gonna switch it up in terms of who goes first. So this time, Chief Budrow will go first and Sheriff Hawley will go second. So Chief Budrow, 2 minutes.
Okay, so the plan is, it's a very hard plan now because again, one of the problems legislature did it was a great idea behind what the law was thinking, but because they decriminalized it and made us have to just refer 2 times each a user, then that has just caused them to go deeper in. We don't have the ability to put them into the programs that we were helping put them into, the confidential informant, working with the task force, getting into drug court, et cetera. So we've been working very closely with the Recovery Navigator program, who has just started up, and that's been phenomenal. That is a very good thing. I'm not going to stop what we've been doing, we've been doing on this side of the hill. We will continue to work with the users. We know who they are, and we, again, will continue to work with them when they're in their right state of mind so that they know we're here to help them if they get into the wrong state or start going down that hill. Other than that, we will be working with the prosecutor and working through WASPIC, which is the Washington State Chiefs and Sheriffs Program, working with legislature to try to change that back to make the illegal drugs illegal and or at least get us a number for the amount that would make it illegal. And maybe if we did a one-time referral, then we could possibly do that. We'll also, because the crime rate is skyrocketing, and a lot of that is because when we stop a bad guy who has drugs on them, we take the dope from them, and then all of a sudden now they don't have their stuff that they were going to go use, and they have to go get more, which means they have to steal. So it's like a snowball effect that is going in the wrong direction. And again, we will work very closely with all the nonprofits and Room One and the outreach programs, et cetera, trying to get that under control. And that's.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. Sheriff Hawley, and let us know if you want to have the question repeated.
Hi, I'm good, thank you. So as far as what I've been doing, I've been part of the DUI court, which is a treatment court on the misdemeanor side since 2013, since its inception, as one of the team members dealing with people who are in that substance use and abuse cycle and trying to get them to break that. And that program has been outstanding as far as getting them into the court, into treatment through OBHC and getting the people back to where they're not dependent on those substances, whatever they may be, alcohol, meth, heroin, whatever it is. And it's been a great program and to continue working with them. I've also been part of the Okanogan County Community Coalition, which is getting out there and getting information towards youth prior to them getting involved. That's where we need to do some more work, is get people to where they don't get involved in the use to begin with. It's much easier than breaking somebody from the cycle if we can give them the education to where they don't even bother to start. The fentanyl problem has been very rampant across Washington State and throughout our nation. Quite honestly, we're talking with other chiefs and sheriffs from around the nation. So we want to continue working with them. Been working with the recovery navigator. When I go talk to groups and they want to talk about that, I don't have the life experience, the lived life experience. I have the scientific side. I can tell you if somebody's impaired and if they should be driving or not. So I've partnered with the recovery navigator and I brought one of them with me, invite them to come to tell their story, because that's very impactful to get their story out there for these kids to hear that at that youth level. So they understand that this isn't just a pie in the sky thing. This actually does impact people right now. We've also been working with family health centers to get the MOUD, which is the opioid use disorder program, up inside the correctional facility. We've worked with them also to get Narcan out to those. They may not be the one they're using it, but we need to get that going. Through WASPIC, we're going to continue to work with them. Our proposal right now is to get a tiered change to the Blake decision.
Okay, thank you. Okay, who wants to go next? Any volunteers? Betsy, did I see you raise your hand?
I'll ask my question.
Okay, Jason, yeah.
So for both of you, what is your plan to address the staffing shortages in both the sheriff and jail?
Okay, thank you. And this time Sheriff Hawley will go first.
So we began years ago trying to change how we can attract applicants into the sheriff's office. When I took office, looked out across the group, and there was a lot of gray hair out there. A lot of people got hired at the same time I did. They've got 25 plus years on, and those people have earned retirement and they're starting to retire. So we need to be able to attract people to come in. One of the things that we went and worked with the commissioner, because when it takes some money, we have to partner with the commissioners to get them on board with some of the things we're trying to do. So we have a recruitment incentive that's county-wide. Anybody within the county that recruits somebody to work for the sheriff's office is paid, gets an incentive, and that comes directly from the sheriff's office budget from out of the unspent wages. We're working with them right now for a sign-on bonus. This has become an industry norm. A lot of industries in the different offices within the state are paying up to $25,000 signing bonus for people to come work for them. We don't have that kind of money, but we're trying to get something to where it helps with maybe defray some moving costs, attract somebody to get into that position. That is one of the things we're doing. We also changed how people can apply. Our laterals don't have to go through the process anymore of like an entry level would. They fill out the application and we score them off the application so that we can get them into the hiring pool faster than having to wait for a board. We have to attract, get 3 other people to come sit on the board from outside the agency, and it just lengthens that process out. So we've worked with our civil service board to change how we do that, but that they are still involved in the process because it is important that they're involved, but we've changed how we're doing it there. Our entry level still takes a little bit more time, but reaching out and talking to people as soon as we know that they're interested so that we can keep them interested, keep in touch with them and move them through the process. We currently have about 10 openings. Mostly it's in the corrections. That's a tough place to get people to come work into. And so as we move forward, we've been getting some good quality applicants. I've got 2 that are in the background process right now, and we just continue hiring as people can become available.
Okay, thank you. Chief Budrow, 2 minutes.
So, all right, well, it's pretty much, once I become the sheriff, the morale will change. It'll turn 180 degrees, which will then make it easier for the deputies to start telling other officers who want to come here or come to ask if they like the job here, if they want to come. Also, we have multiple deputies who have already left who are wanting to come back if I become the sheriff, because they know they'll have the support of the administration. And I'm not going to lower our standards to just get bodies into the car. But we will be going through, also be doing a program within the jail where we have another set of eyes who will come in and review the policies, procedures, and how the jail is run so that the jail staff isn't afraid to do their job. Right now, there's a safety problem going on inside. Many items that we'll talk about and address at a later date. But the only thing that I could ever say is the morale and the support that my administration is going to give them is what's going to bring that the hiring back and bring officers to this location. I've had officers who I used to work for me who are reaching out now, want to come and work for me if I make the sheriff's position. So we'll be able to rebuild pretty quickly, I think. It's just a matter of the process, getting through the actual hiring process that we go through civil service, et cetera. Again, but we will not be lowering our standards.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll go with Bill Kresge and then Philip. So Bill.
Yeah, Mr. Budrow, I couldn't help but notice your backdrop, We the People, which of course comes from the Constitution. So I'm curious as to what your stand is on the constitutional sheriff movement. Okay.
Well, the constitutional sheriff movement is different than what my oath is to you as your sheriff. The Washington State Constitution defines the sheriff's role as a constitutional sheriff, meaning that we are the stopgap between bad law that comes out of the legislature and good law. So example, we'll go with the Second Amendment. That's what everyone is attacking right now. Second Amendment, of course, says you have the right to bear arms, et cetera. A lot of those laws that come down, they say, okay, you're not allowed to carry this firearm. You're not allowed to carry that firearm. Of course, they've already been found as unconstitutional. That's where the sheriff's job is to, for the whole county, protect all the rights of the personnel or the community of the sheriff's office or within the community, all the civilians, et cetera. And so that is deemed an unconstitutional law. If that's deemed, if I, as your sheriff, deem that as an unconstitutional law, then I'm not going to enforce it, which then triggers the next level, which then forces that to go into the court system. The courts then decide whether or not it's unconstitutional or not constitutional. If they deem it constitutional, then we start enforcing that law because now our Supreme Court has found it constitutional. An example of that on the another one is, let's go to the freedom of speech. We have the burning of the American flag. That is very heart-wrenching to me, having served in the Navy and having served this country to protect that flag. But it is now been considered a constitutional right of freedom of speech. So we enforce that to allow that person to burn the flag. Even again, I don't enforce the laws by my personal beliefs. I enforce the laws by the way the law is written. Another example of the Constitution side of that is, let's say we get an alt-right legislature and an alt-right governor, and they decide that there's going to be no more protests, be it Antifa, gay pride, Second Amendment. There's no more demonstrations allowed, which, as we know, we're allowed to demonstrate. It's a constitutional right to demonstrate as long as it's a peaceful, active way. And I would then, of course, say, nope, I'm not enforcing that law. It's a constitutional right, and we'll make it go to the next level.
Okay,
So-
yeah, thanks.
Okay.
You went a little over time. Sheriff
Sorry about
Hawley will give you a little extra time to answer that question too. So,
Okay, so it's going to sound really similar. My oath since 18 years old has been to uphold the Constitution. When I served in the United States Marine Corps and as serving with the Okanogan County Sheriff's Office. I've dedicated my life to this and taking care of people and the public. Many times with people I don't even know, but that's what we do in law enforcement and when we're in public service for public safety. So what it boils down to for me is that the movement is, there's lots of movements. Those things come and go. The Constitution has been there for a long time. As the sheriff, it is my job to uphold the Constitution and protect people's rights, no matter what those, if our beliefs line up or not, you still have rights to share those things. We've had people that have protested. If we go back to in, I believe 2020, there were some protests and did nothing to try to stop those people from protesting. whatever it was, went out and actually talked to them to find out what it was that they were talking about. Some of them were because the small businesses were closed. They came out and they were outside the commissioner's hearing room, went out, they were peaceful, they were not disrupting anything. They were just trying to bring some attention to their issue. And that's what is what our country is based on, is people trying to bring attention to their issues and we can move forward. So I went out and had conversations with them to find out where they were at. And no matter what that might be, whether it's upholding their rights when they're in the correctional facility, making sure those are taken care of, or if it's out on the street because they're wanting to demonstrate their constitutional rights. So as far as to get on with any kind of a movement, like I said, those things come and go. We have to go back to the Constitution, what it means, what it says, and making sure that people have their rights protected to the best of our ability as we move forward.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Philip, do you want to go next?
Sure, I've got a question. I guess my question would be to, I guess, Sheriff Hawley, but also to Budrow as well. I'm not sure what the county stance is on police audio and video recordings or stops, and furthermore, for whenever an officer is on duty. So if you could explain to me what the protocol currently is, and if you would want to change it, and how so.
Okay, thank you, Philip. All right, Sheriff Hawley, you're first on that one.
Okay, so that's going to depend on the situation that we're dealing with. So right now there's state law that states that if we have somebody in custody for a felony, we must record them while we interview them. Also, if they're a juvenile, if we're inside of the sheriff's office or a police station or the jail, we need to make sure it's audio and visual. If it's out on this a contact on the street, it has to be audio at least in order to comply with that law that was passed here recently. So the sheriff's office has purchased body cameras for all of our personnel that would put themselves in that position, corrections and patrol. So they all have a body camera in order to facilitate this and make sure that we can follow that law. I also purchased an upgraded system that's in the sheriff's office and also one in the jail. So not only is the sheriff's office has access to it, but if somebody's in there for, say, a felony DUI, they can, any of our partner agencies are able to utilize that system as well in order to, so they can comply with that law in case they don't have body cams, because not all of our partners have that. State Patrol, Wildlife, Oroville, I don't believe that they have those. So we spent that money so they can help comply with that and make sure we're following that. We have policy that if they're out making contacts, there are certain things that tell them when they should, if they're doing an investigation, when they're interviewing somebody. The traffic stops, it should automatically come on when they turn their lights on in their vehicle. If they turn them on with the switch, it's a Bluetooth system. So it automatically turns that camera on when the lights are turned on the vehicle, when they use it with the toggle switch. The way it was able to be set up, some of the vehicles have switches on the steering wheel, and they also have the toggle switch in the center console. If they use the steering wheel, sometimes it doesn't always turn on, so the deputy will then have to manually turn that on to activate the camera. There are times where they'll turn them off because if we have to do like a 45-minute code run someplace, a lot of the steering wheel doesn't need to be videotaped that entire time. There's no evidentiary value at that point in time. So.
Okay, thank you. Chief Budrow, do you want to answer that? 2 minutes.
Well, for me, I've been using body cams for, again, over 20 years. I started back, over that, I started with in-car video. I wrote the program, the policy and procedures, and was able to get in-car video back in Skagit County when I was just a basic deputy. Move forward, I believe in the camera system. It helps document the incidents so that, and we usually have been able to use it to defend my officers when a person comes and says that they want to make a complaint about an officer's use of force against them, etc. We don't use it as Big Brother, but we do use it for recording, as Sheriff Hawley had said, for incidents that pertain to it. We have ours is an Axon system, and it's set up that if we draw our firearm, it'll turn on also. So there's numerous things. The technology is just amazing with what's going on. We can redact as needed per state law. If we need people who aren't part of the case and they're in the video, we can turn those off. We do advise that people are being audio video recorded when we're making contact. If your question was in reference to what's the belief of a citizen taking video, citizens have full right to take videos of law enforcement officer. Anything that we're talking is considered public knowledge, and that we can be recorded anytime without our knowledge. And there's case law in reference to that allows that. So I'm not sure if that was the question, but it covers both sides.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else in our group that has a question?
I'd like to ask a very simple question.
Okay,
I think it's basically a yes or no answer. Do you believe that the result of the last presidential election, putting Joe Biden in office, is legitimate?
okay, thank you, Pat. So, all right, Chief Budrow.
Well, it's legitimate because it happened. The people voted. That's how it came out. And I do not question whether or not our voting rights is there. If your question is, do I believe there's voter fraud? 100%. I believe there's voter fraud, but I don't know that we could ever get to the point where we had enough voter fraud that they did a takeover.
Okay, thank you. Sheriff Hawley.
I guess Chief Budrow touched on what I was kind of wondering if that's direction that the question was really directed at, was towards voter fraud. I agree. I think there is some. You're always going to have some sort of minuscule part, but was there enough to change the direction of that election? No, I don't think so. I think it was, again, the people voted, and that's how our system is built on. And I respect the outcome of those votes.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will go with a 2-minute closing statement. So Sheriff Hawley, you will go first. 2 minutes.
Okay, so we're going to touch a little bit about how I got where I'm at right now. There's been a lot of talk over this election about how things are being ran, morale, things of that nature. However, nothing's pointed directly at anybody. I have just as many people. I'm sure that the chief comes up with things saying that the people are coming talking to him. I have just as many people that will come tell me the same exact things. So what it boils down to is I've been the one in the seat over these last 4 years when things needed to be done and decisions had to be made. It's really easy to make to launch things at someone who's in that position and has to make some decisions. There's been some really tough decisions, some things that have never come about before. Everything has been done with the interest of public safety for this community, whether it's the jail, whether it's marches, demonstrations, all those things have been in that line. We had a demonstration in 2020 in OMAC. At the time, the chief was doing nothing to make sure it was kept safe. I reached out to both groups. I talked to both groups. I put them in touch with each other. The event was very nerve-wracking. I was very stressed over that event. Ours went off without any issues within our county. Nobody got hurt. Some people may not have liked how it took place on both sides. However, nobody got hurt like in other areas. We had no riots. And I think that was directly due to me reaching out and talking to people and putting them in touch with each other so they could understand that they both were trying to reach some goals. They just wanted to reach them a little bit differently because they have different viewpoints. And that's what we do in Okanogan County. We sit down, we talk about it, and we put people in touch with each other, and we work hard to make things happen. And that's what we've been doing at the sheriff's office. We're going to continue to do that. My team has been in place, experienced. They have the knowledge to move forward. We've got 4 years under our belt with things that have come up, and we continue to deal with them, and we continue to find solutions as each different area comes up. So with that in mind, experience means a lot as far as we move forward, and keeping myself in this position is only going to benefit Okanogan County. So I appreciate your time and look forward to you voting for me this November. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Budrow, 2 minutes, closing statement.
Well, the easiest way to say that, again, as I'm talking and Sheriff Hawley is talking, we're both at this moment in time political figures who are spouting out information. Again, as you know, today in today's society, we don't know who to believe in what is being said. And so I ask in every forum that I've asked is that you go out, you talk to the deputies, you talk to people who work in the county for the sheriff's office, ask them why they came to me and asked me to run. Again, I had one of the best jobs, or I have the best job in law enforcement, because my busiest day here is my slowest ever in over in the bigger cities. I have, again, 38 years of law enforcement experience. I've helped to rebuild 2 agencies from laughing stocks where people want to come to work for me. Again, I have more bodies wanting to come back and people who want to come here if I do make the sheriff's position. On top of that, one of the things I'll tell you is that I'm bringing a outside set of eyes. I have no biases within the sheriff's office. I don't know how the sheriff's office is run. I have my number 2, who is going to be one of the deputies, is Dave Yarnell. He is U28. He's been with the agency for 28 years. He has the inside knowledge. And then we're going to bring in a specialist for the jail to have a set of eyes within the jail. And we have deputies in there who have senior authority. So we're going to merge all of those, all that intel and the supervisory levels to build a sheriff's office that it has the support of its administration to its deputies and vice versa. They will have the equipment and training that they don't have right now. That's, again, I immensely appreciate you reaching out to us. I know we're both Republican, so it must be very hard for some of you. But if you know me, I don't play the party line. I reach across that line. I'm not a Republican when I'm doing my job. I'm the sheriff who will enforce the law no matter what your beliefs are. Most of the time I contact somebody, I don't have a clue what their belief is, and I don't let my personal biases enter my ability to do the job. Again, I really appreciate you having us, and it's been a pleasure talking to you all and answering your questions.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Sheriff Hawley and Chief Budrow, I think that concludes the Q&A. So you two can leave the meeting and we're going to continue on with our regular order of business. Thank you very, very much for joining us.
Again, thank you very much. Look forward to talking to you.
Thank
Okay.
you. Have a great evening.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.